Hey, what's up, everybody? The Fish Tank Guy here, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Fish Tank Guy podcast. Today is Monday, January 8th, and I know that I missed my bi-weekly, podcast slot, but that's because of the holiday and all that good stuff going on. So I gotta tell you guys, I got a lot to talk about today. I got a bunch of fun. I don't know if it's fun. It's fun to me, I guess. A lot of fun, non-fish related stuff. I've got a couple personal fish tank updates of the tanks that I keep updated on YouTube. And then I also have a real good topic for today that I want to talk about, kind of not really in depth necessarily, but I want to try to at least present, an argument that guys, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just going to tell you the topic. The topic is going to be test kits. And more specifically, the topic is going to be Red Sea test kits versus API test kits. Because honestly, I get a lot of people telling me like API test kits are garbage. Why do you use them? Red Sea all day, all the way, that kind of thing. And I've never used a Red Sea test kit, but as far as I know, API test kits they're competent at the very least. So I've already done a little research. We're going to kind of pull together a bunch of different opinions, maybe a couple message board opinions there, and then we'll talk about, if Red Sea is the way to go or if API is okay for those of you who are just getting into the hobby, or even those of you who are, have been in the hobby for a while and have established tanks. So we're going to talk about that too. But it's 2018, and should all acquaintance be forgot? Okay, enough of that. But we had Happy New Year's. I don't know about you guys. I stayed up until the ball dropped. I stayed at home. I didn't go out. I used to go out years ago, but it's just not my thing anymore. There's a lot of people getting stupid and driving drunk and things like that. So I stayed home with my family, and we had a good time. We sort of just sat around. We watched the ball drop. We watched Mariah Carey take another shot at it, right? And she did surprisingly well. She could have done without the comments beforehand about the hot tea because people were just blasting her over that. But I think overall she sang really well. And some people were questioning, why would she come back? Why would she come back and embarrass herself potentially again? And let's be honest, right? After last year, the screw-up where she was just walking around stage all mad and her vocals were still playing in the background, obviously Ryan Seacrest or whatever network, that ABC, I don't even know what network it is, but they said, look, Mariah, we'll give you some major coin if you come back because the ratings are going to be phenomenal. It's all business decisions, right? Mariah Carey didn't go on last year for fun, and she didn't go on this year for fun. She went on for money. So, kudos to her for doing all right and singing pretty well. She sang Hero well. The first song was a little warbly, but the second one was really good. And, it was negative temperatures there. It was -1 or -2 or something. And, there were people that stayed there from 8 a.m. until midnight. 8 a.m. until midnight in, let's just say around 0-degree weather to watch that ball drop. Just go home. Go home. I don't know. Maybe, everybody has this thing where they say, one of my bucket list items is to go to Times Square to watch the ball drop. Maybe I'll do that someday, but I ain't going to go there and stay outside for 16 hours to get a good seat when the best seat is at home on the couch, right? So that was interesting. A couple other things about the New Year's Rockin' Eve is these bands pop up that you've forgotten about because they only ever had one song. And one band that stood out for me, and no offense to anybody who likes this band, but one band that stood out to me was Walk the Moon. I was like, oh, here's Walk the Moon. They had one song, right? Shut Up and Dance was their song. And it was obvious why that was their only song because they did another song, and it was gratingly bad. It was just, I wanted them to be done with. And the thing was, I wasn't even sitting in front of the TV watching them. I was like listening as I was doing something else, and I told my wife that I was like, this song is bad. Like, no wonder these guys only have one song. And I think that's like one of the biggest like things that I don't like about music today is that these bands come and go. There are very few that hang around. And because of the accessibility of music, like music accessibility is good, but it's also bad because, people will just jump from one thing to the next. One thing, this song is hot this week. This week is this song, and then this week is this song, and then this song, and then this song. And then most of the time, these songs are made by nobodies who are eventually one-hit wonders, and every now and then one of them will break through. And, maybe maybe I have my rose-tinted glasses on, but I don't know. I don't think it was always like that. I felt like even in the 90s, like if you started to hear music on the radio, a higher percentage, not a high percentage, but a higher percentage of people would stick around for a while. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. So anyway, we had that. We had Christmas. Hopefully you guys had a good Christmas. I had a great Christmas. I'm 32 years old, and I felt like I had a great Christmas for a child. Not for a child. For a kid. For like a teenager. I got 5 video games. So I was excited about that. I got a strap for my guitar, my electric guitar. I'm trying to play a little bit more. And my wife got me a nice guitar strap for that, so that's cool. And the 5 video games that I got are awesome games. I got Super Mario Odyssey, I got Zelda Breath of the Wild, and then I got Wolfenstein The New Order, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, and Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, all 3 of which have been reviewed very well. And then Mario and Zelda were both Game of the Year contenders. I already beat Mario Odyssey, and that game is fun. Like, it's very fun. It's not super difficult. Now I'm in like after I beat the main story, I'm going to go back and try to get the rest of the moons. They used, how Mario, it used to be like stars, and then it was flower petals or, banana peels. I don't know what it was, but it's moons in this game. And the moons, there are a ton of moons. I think there are too many. I think they made some of them like too easy just to put more in there. But the game is just fun. It's a fun game. And the last Mario game that I had that much fun with was probably Mario 64. That came out when I was like 12 years old. That game was like the pinnacle of Mario games for me. Maybe it was because of how old I was and like 3D Mario was a brand new thing. But this game is a lot of fun. So if you're a gamer, Super Mario Odyssey, very cool. And I've only played about an hour and a half of the new Zelda. But I'm not one for open world games, yet this game seems really cool also. I haven't played any of the Wolfenstein games yet, but Mario, awesome. Zelda, first impressions, very good. Can't wait to get more time with it. So I was excited about that. And, my guitar strap is cool. I'm working on that. And I got a few other things that were a lot of fun. So it was a good Christmas for me. Except the one downside of Christmas, I guess, is that for those of you who have been living under a rock, Erie, Pennsylvania, hello there, that's where I'm at, had a record-breaking snowfall day for Christmas and also broke numerous records for the most snowfall within 3 days and also within a week, I believe. So this year on Christmas, our snowfall total for one day was somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 inches. And our previous record was 8 or 9. So we, I think it was 8, and I think it was 32. I think. If it was less than that, my bad, right? But either way, it was 3 or 4 times what the previous record was, and it was pretty crazy. Now, when I say pretty crazy, I just mean like the quantity of snow was very shocking. Right? Christmas Day, we ended up not going out to my parents' house like we usually do. We stayed in the whole day, and then I didn't want to snow blow or clear the driveway on Christmas Day because it was Christmas Day and we weren't going anywhere. And then the next day, the driveway was absolutely filled. Now, if you don't live in a snowy area, when I say filled, I don't mean like up to my kneecaps. I mean like almost up to my waist, filled with snow. And subsequently, I realized later that day that my snowblower was not working correctly. So the timing of that was extraordinarily bad. I ended up trying to shovel most of the driveway out by myself in shifts. I would go out for 20 minutes at a time. I'd kill myself shoveling, and then I would come in, warm up, do something else, go out for another 20 minutes. After doing that 4 or 5 times, my wife came out a couple times to help me. I looked down the driveway, and I had like half of it done. And I was trying to use the snowblower, but I could essentially go like 2 inches at a time, and then I had to back it off. And here I thought it was because the amount of snow was just so much, and it was kind of heavy. So I figured the snowblower just couldn't handle it. My wife was getting frustrated that I bought like a cheap snowblower, and I bought this snowblower years ago, and it had always been fine. So she was like getting frustrated with me that my snowblower was not the greatest. And here, like, I cleared out half the driveway. Then later that night, I flagged down somebody plowing out another driveway, and I got them to clear out the rest of our driveway for $20. So that was like amazing. It was an amazing feeling just standing in the garage watching this guy just like whoosh, like take care of so much snow all in one pass. I had been out there for hours and hours, and I got half the driveway done. He did the whole thing in like 3 minutes. But the next day, we got another, because we had 60 inches of snow within 3 days or something like that. Like the next couple days, I went out when the snow was much lower. There may be like 4 or 5 inches of accumulation, and I tried to use the snowblower, and it would sputter out and do nothing again. So then I knew something was wrong. And here it was the belt. The belt had gone. The belt had like stretched out over time. My snowblower didn't have any way to adjust the tensioner to tighten it, so it was just slipping. As soon as it started hitting, a decent amount of snow, it would slip, and that's why it wasn't pushing the snow out of the chute. So I went to the store where the people at the store were worthless, and I had to figure out what to get on my own. I had to find the manual online. I figured they might have some sort of reference thing where they had models of, snowblowers listed, and they could figure out what belt you needed, but they don't have anything like that. So I found it online, found the belt. I'm telling you right now, after hours and hours of shoveling and hours of the snowblower not working correctly, when I fired that thing up and it worked the way it should, mind you, it probably has never worked this good. Like the belt was probably always loose from the start, like when I bought it. It had never worked this good. I was freaking out in the driveway. I had my headphones in, and I was like, oh, yeah, snow blowing, son. I was going up and down, listening to this rock music, dancing around like a moron. People were driving by. I'm throwing my hands up, hey, what's up? We're all snowed in, right? Man, that feeling when that snowblower started kicking in and working, it was the best thing ever. Now I like going out there, man, crushing that driveway. But, so to give you guys an idea, it's to give you some perspective. Some of you probably live where there is no snow, and you think oh my gosh, these people got 60 inches of snow. You see these articles on CNN, you see these different editorial pieces about the people in Erie got freaking dumped on with snow, and they're just trying to survive, right? All this stuff. To be totally honest with you guys, aside from the inconvenience of having to stay in your house for a day or two when it was really bad, for us, the snow, even that quantity of snow, is not really all that outside of the norm. It really isn't. Yeah, you have to find a place to put it, but we're a tough folk here. We can drive to work, we can drive to our school, run errands or whatever, even with all the snow going down. There were some interesting things that you would see. You would see people hoisting snowblowers onto their roof. They're running the snowblower on their roof because they're worried about the weight of the snow causing their roof to cave in. And the snowblower is probably way heavier than any snow that's up on that roof, to be honest with you. But you have that going on, and some of the icicles are just amazingly crazy. Some people, you can't even see the windows on the front of their house because the insulation in their roof line is so bad that the snow has melted already and they're forming icicles down the front of their house, and the front of their house is all ice. It's all ice. Like, it sounds like miserable, but when you see it, it's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool. Other than the fact that one of those icicles could fall and stab you and you would die. Like, other than that, it looks cool. It looks very cool. So the record-breaking snowfall in Erie was fun. It was inconvenience for a little while, but overall it was okay. Fixing the snowblower was the best thing ever. And so that was Christmas here. That was Christmas in Erie. And so I'll let you guys know I'm 15 right around 16 minutes through the podcast. I'm not even going to bother trying to hit 30 minutes because I never hit it, right? I've got 2 more non-fish topics to talk about. I'm going to do 5 movie reviews in 5 minutes or less. That's going to be my new non-fish topic. 5 reviews in 5 minutes or less. It's probably like close to around 3 minutes. I'm going to time it and see. But I've got some zingers in the list, including The Last Jedi and Blade Runner 2049, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to go into tank updates. Then I'm going to go into topic of the week. Then I'm going to go into the fish of the week there. All right? So other than that, this week is I'm happy that I'm recording the podcast today. The only bummer was this morning. It's again snowing here, and this morning it was snowing pretty heavily to the point where people were going very slow. They didn't have to go as slow as they were going, but they were going very slow. And I had to stop at Country Fair to get a breakfast sandwich this morning, which was more than halfway to work. And when I went to go pull my keys out of my coat pocket, I pulled my wife's keys out of my coat pocket. So I pulled them out, and I was like, seriously? And I had to I had to drive all the way back home, so that was not a great way to start my Monday. But now I'm doing good. I'm feeling good, recording the podcast. And okay, here's some 2 other things I want to talk about non-fish related. The first is have you guys ever since I've been an adult for a while now. I suppose I'm age-wise an adult, maturity-wise I am not, but ever since age-wise I've been an adult, there have been very few occurrences in my life where I've been genuinely confused. Like when you're a kid, you're confused all the time. You don't know what people are talking about. They're using words you don't know what they mean. They're using code language because they don't want you to hear stuff, and then you're just like, what are you what? So I haven't had one of those moments that I can remember in quite some time. Except for the other day where I was driving to work and I was kind of on autopilot and I had the radio on and I was like half listening and this commercial came on. And it was this girl who was like rapping. And you could tell that she's not a rapper, right? I don't know why they do this, but it tends to be like radio stations for like smaller businesses. They like try to do a rap and they have somebody come in who's just like a voice actor and like has no experience rapping, and you could tell they're like very like there's like their flow is weird and they're kind of just like reciting lines, sort of, not really rapping, right? It's kind of like Carlton on Fresh Prince, like when he would try to be tough, right? And he'd be like, on the contrary, dear fellow, right? And then Will would just like make a joke of him or whatever. But like, so they had this girl who was rapping for this commercial. And all I heard was COMATON. That's all I heard. COMATON. And I'm like, what the is Comaton? What is Comaton? And for the next like 15 to 20 seconds, they were saying things like, oh yeah, be prepared for the winter. Come in, make your appointment today. And this whole time, I am totally bewildered as to what Comaton is. What is Comaton? Right? And I'm thinking, what is Comaton? Come in and make your appointment, get prepared for winter. Like, they're making it sound like everybody knows what this is. And the word that they said at the beginning of the commercial was Comaton. Well, so 20 some seconds later, and I know this is like really, this is like 30 seconds of my day, right? But I'm just telling you, like, I felt like so genuinely confused that I snapped out of autopilot. I was like, what is Comatin? And I just sat there like, what? Please, what? Tell me what this is, right? They get to the end of the commercial and they say, so, come on and stop down at Zoom Tan today, or something like that. Stop on down or make your appointment at Zoom Tan today. Zoom Tan. So the girl at the beginning of the commercial was actually saying ZOOMTAN, and I heard it as COMATON. I don't know why, but that's the way I heard it. And I'll tell you, 3 or 4 days later, I heard that commercial come on out of nowhere, ZOOMTAN, and I just burst out laughing. I burst out laughing because I was like, dude, Comatin! Dude, it's Comatin! Now I'm wondering if they have Zoom Tan everywhere. Let me see here. Zoom Tan. Is Zoom Tan just an Erie thing? That's what I'm looking for. Because if it's not, maybe you guys will hear these commercials in your area. But like, oh, okay. So it looks like Zoom Tan is located in Florida and Georgia. Why? Go outside, right? And it's located in New York and Pennsylvania. And it's only located in Erie, in Pennsylvania, and in New York, it's all over the place. It's in Buffalo, Rochester, Orchard Park, Williamsville, Webster. I don't even know what these are. Jamestown, Johnstown, Ithaca, Geneva. Okay, so no, I don't know that one. Auburn, Amherst. I don't know these cities either. I'm just saying them. So if you live in Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, or Georgia, you might hear the Comatin commercial. And you will know what I'm talking about when you hear it. It's kind of like when you mishear song lyrics. But when you mishear song lyrics, you just go with it because not most songs, but a bunch of songs don't make any sense anyway. So you're just like, yo, yeah, whatever, chew the gum, whatever they said, you know. So people used to tell me that Miss Independent by Kelly Clarkson, she used to say, what happened to my cinnamon gum? Because it was what happened to Miss Independent. And she used to say, what happened to my cinnamon gum? So I don't know. But songs I don't care. Zoom Tan, you screwed me up, man. I was really confused. You can genuinely confuse me as an adult for the first time in probably 5 years. So kudos to you. I will not be visiting your cancer-causing light stations of death. I won't be visiting you anytime soon. But I appreciate the creativity of your commercial. So there you have it. All right, and then the other thing that I want to talk about that I did over Christmas break was TJ, my stepson, got a brand new Nerf gun that is called the Mastodon. And it takes D batteries, and it fires with a motor. So for any of you who grew up in the 90s, you had Nerf guns. They were always like pump action, or there was like something you had to cock back and you'd fire it. This one actually requires D batteries to work. It shoots 100 feet. The darts fire 100 feet, and it's got 25 or so darts in this barrel. So it basically just like spins around, boom, 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 boom. You shoot them, right? It's a lot of fun. So TJ had a friend over during the break, and usually what happens with the Nerf guns, it just ends up devolving into this war of like who can get the best one, and like they make up these rudimentary rules of like, oh, you can't shoot when I'm loading my gun, right? Or like, you can't fire unless I have a gun in my hand, right? And they do all this back and forth, like no shooting in the face, and then one of them shoots the one in the face, and then the other one shoots the other one in the face, and it just is like this nightmare. But I remembered something that I did back in college. Yes, in college when I was a young adult. For those of you who grew up in the 90s, I believe in the early 2000s, there was an iteration of the show, American Gladiators. If anybody remembers American Gladiators, the theme song was that was a theme song for American Gladiators. And they basically had these ripped, like, muscular dudes and chicks. They were the gladiators, and they brought on these contenders, and the contenders had to go through and basically play these events, or they were kind of like games with the gladiators in an effort to try to score points and different things like that. Well, there was one game called Assault. And Assault was essentially the gladiators stood with a large cannon that fired tennis balls at 100 miles per hour, and there was a large target over their head. Now, the contender would be on the course in front of the gladiator, and there would be stations, and at each of the stations there was a weapon of sorts that was essentially an overpowered like Nerf gun. And they would have to try to juke and fake their way to each station, fire the weapon in attempts to hit the target. If they hit the target, they got X amount of points. The game is over. They won. If they didn't hit the target, they got so many points for shooting each weapon and getting all the way up to the closest station to the gladiator. Now, we did something similar to this in college. We set up the like study area in our dorm room. We moved all the couches around and everything, and we had somebody stand on a chair, and they had a Nerf gun, and there were other Nerf guns and things like that. And it was so much fun. Like, we all like decked out. Like, we got cut off t-shirts and bandanas on, and there's a picture of it. It's awesome. I'll post it on my Twitter so you guys can see what it was like back in the day, in 2003 or 4. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, I had this idea. In the new house that I moved into, we have a side that we use as like our entertaining side. It's basically like an empty room in our basement. And we had tables up because we had some family over the holidays. But I thought what we could do is we could set the tables up and stagger them and things like that, and put a weapon, a Nerf gun, at each station, and then have this brand new big Mastodon one. That would be the gladiator, right? Dude, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. We still have it set up right now. There's 4 stations. There's 4 guns. We put a piece of paper in the drop ceiling, like folded it so it would hang down from the drop ceiling above the gladiator. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We did it for like 2 or 3 days. We're gonna do it again. We always like announced like each gladiator. We each took a gladiator name. TJ's gladiator name's Thunder, right? And he wants like Thunder by Imagine Dragons to play when he's up as gladiator and stuff like that. And we had a lot of fun doing it. I made the kids wear like swim goggles, because if you get hit with one of those arrows in the eye or in the face, like it would kind of hurt, right? So if any of you are parents out there, or you're not, or you're just kids, and you want something fun to do with your Nerf guns, find a larger room in your house, set some things up, and basically make like an assault type game out of it. Go on to YouTube, type in American Gladiators Assault, and you'll find exactly what I'm talking about. And that's something you can do with your Nerf guns, so your Nerf gun battles don't divulge into who shot the other person in the face and who has the best gun. Because when you do something like this, like everybody kind of plays together, and like it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's all just about like the fun of the whole thing. So like that was something really cool that I got to do over break. So I'm already 28 minutes in. I knew this was going to be a long podcast. The rest, I got 5 reviews in 5 minutes or less. And then the rest is going to be all fish tank related. So we probably got like 15 minutes of fish tank stuff. So we're going to have like a 45-minute podcast today. All right. So starting right now, 28:30 into the podcast, I'm going to do 5 movie reviews. The first movie review is Love the Coopers. It is a holiday movie about like all of these kind of like one big family coming together. They are, what is the word? They're kind of dysfunctional. That's the word I'm looking for. And like the parents are going to get a divorce, but they're trying to find each other again. And the kids are happy to come home, and some of them are not happy to come home. And they all have like their insecurities and things like that. John Goodman was in it. It was a pretty good holiday movie. I wouldn't say it was like great. I would probably give it like a C+. So it was redeemable. Not one of my favorites. C+. Next movie I watched was 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This was a movie with Woody Harrelson, and I can't remember the lead lady actress in it, but essentially her daughter was murdered years ago, or maybe not even years ago, months ago, and the murder has never been solved, and she takes out 3 billboards of advertisements on like some dead-end road that nobody ever uses, and essentially asks like calls out the chief and says like, why hasn't this murder been solved? It was very interesting. I don't think there wasn't like good closure to the movie, but the acting was well done, and I feel like some of like the emotions that the people went through. Sam Rockwell was in it too. He's really awesome. I love him. Some of the emotions that the people had were well done, and overall, I thought it was an okay movie. I would probably give that one a B-. So Love the Cooper. I'll go through the end. I'll go through all of them again at the end. Next movie was Brad's Status. This is a Ben Stiller movie. He is a dad basically taking his son to different colleges in attempts to get him into different schools. And most of the movie is like I would say it's like a middle-age crisis movie where Ben Stiller is more worried about how his life turned out versus his friends from college. And he sees his friends as being very successful, whereas like he doesn't think he really did a whole lot with his life, and he wish he would have made different choices and things like that. And it's kind of like almost like a finding yourself type film. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was funny in points. I thought the dynamic between Ben Stiller and his son was really good. Jenna Fisher was actually his wife, but she wasn't in it very much. Again, like the ending, a little bit too open for me. I would have liked a little bit more closure to the story, but I thought overall it was a good movie. It was pretty funny. I would give that a B. The next movie is Blade Runner 2049. I had not seen the original Blade Runner before watching this movie. I have now, but I didn't when I watched Blade Runner 2049. I watched it with my wife. I watch all these movies with my wife, by the way. And Blade Runner 2049, I thought visually it was very cool. It was an interesting story. It was an interesting concept. It was a really cool sci-fi type film. I think I would watch it again. It was very slow in parts, but it was very cool. The ending was a little bit sad, but overall, I thought it was a good movie. I'm on a string of watching pretty good movies lately. I would give Blade Runner 2049 a B+, I think. B+. All right, and the last movie, which might extend me beyond my 5 reviews in 5 minutes, is Star Wars The Last Jedi. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I've loved Star Wars forever. Okay, I'll try to keep it short. The Last Jedi, I thought it was a pretty good movie. When I watched it and it was over, I was a little disappointed, but I thought it was cool. I wanted to watch it again right after it was over because I thought there were things that I missed, or I wanted to, look into the story a little bit more. One thing that I'll say is very interesting about this movie is after I watched the movie and I started to see how other people were reacting to it, my feelings for it, almost changed a little bit. I was almost like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they didn't do that well. Or like, oh yeah, why did they make that choice? But those weren't things that I was thinking of as I was watching the movie. And maybe that's because I'm not a super hardcore fan. So if you were a hardcore fan, maybe you've been a little bit more upset about it. But for me, it's going to be part of the Star Wars universe now. So it is what it is. You're just going to have to roll with it. And I thought overall it was pretty good. It wasn't like I expected, but that's probably a good thing, because if they keep pumping out movies that go as you'd expect them to, you're not going to be as excited to see them. So Star Wars The Last Jedi, didn't think it was awesome, didn't think it was bad. I'm going to give it a B+. So I've got Love the Coopers, which was a C+. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri was oh man. I don't even remember what I gave these movies now. You can just rewind and listen to them again. But overall, outside of Love the Coopers, these 4 movies, 3 Billboards, Blade Runner 2049, Brad's Status, and Last Jedi, were all pretty good. They were all pretty good movies. So those are my 5 movie reviews for the week. I went a little over 5 minutes, but that's just because I'm feeling long-winded today. All right? Okay, so let's get to the fish stuff. Now, in terms of tank updates, I already told you guys I put new fish in my saltwater tank. One of the biggest things that I did over break was I fixed my protein skimmer in my BioCube. It had not been working well because I didn't have it at the proper level, and based on where the suction cups were, maybe did I talk about this last time? I don't know if I did or not. Essentially what I did with the protein skimmer was I took the suction cups off, I hooked a paper clip around it and hooked the paper clip to the divider between the display tank and the chambers in the back. And now it's at a good height, and I'm getting very good skimming with it, and I'm happy about that. So it's helping my tank to look a lot better. I'm not getting algae buildup so fast. and that was a really positive change for the tank, so I'm happy about that. The only other big update that I have is the plumbing for the fish tank tower is almost entirely complete. I have one more piece of tubing that I have to cut and attach onto one of the angled something or others. I don't even know what I'm saying. But I have to do that, and then all of the plumbing will be done. And also the sump for the fish tank tower is already done and in place on the fish tank tower, and it's plumbed into the system. So I'm happy about that too. So I'm making good progress on my fish tanks. I will have some updates for you this week and next week and the following week and every week from now until eternity, because I am the fish tank guy and that's what I do, right? Okay, so we got that. Now, let's go to our fish tank topic of the week. The topic of the week is Red Sea test kits versus API test kits. I got a lot of beef with with API test kits from some of my viewers. People say, oh, they're garbage. Why do you use those? You shouldn't use them, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm just like, my local fish store uses API test kits. Like, they can't be like that bad. And that local fish store, they keep their tanks looking very nice, right? So, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go through. No. Did I lose it? Hold on a minute. Wait a second here. Okay. Shoot. Oh, here it is. Oh no, I have it. Okay. Sorry for that. All right. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a summary overview of some websites that sell these two kits, the reviews on the two kits, and then I'm going to take you through just some personal preference kind of message boards things, yeah. And then we'll do Fish of the Week. We'll wrap it up, and then that'll be episode 6 of the podcast. Okay, so Red Sea versus API. All right, here you go. On Amazon, on Amazon, okay, the Saltwater Master API kit that includes testing for ammonia, high range pH, nitrite, and nitrate is $22, 4.5 stars, 430 reviews. Pretty good. Okay? The Red Sea kit that is very comparable to the Saltwater Master kit, except that it also tests alkalinity, is $46 with 4 stars and 76 reviews. I think that's all you guys need to know. All right, that's all you need to know right here. Is these two kits are very comparable. The API is $22. The Red Sea is $46. The API was rated at 4.5 stars, and the Red Sea was rated at 4 stars. The API has 430 reviews. The Red Sea has 76. There's not really a whole lot that I need to say about that. That is just the general consensus of many people reviewing those two kits. Okay? Now, I also found another kit, the Master Reef API test kit, which tests for calcium, alkalinity, phosphate, and nitrate. On Amazon, again, $22, 430 reviews. No, sorry. $22, 198 reviews, 4 stars. Okay, 4 stars. All right. Red Sea Foundation Pro tests calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. A little different, right? But I tried to find something similar. $47, 111 reviews, 4 stars. Okay? So there, on Amazon, API, $22, 4 stars, 198 reviews. Red Sea, $47, 4 stars, 111 reviews. Same number of stars, double the price for the Red Sea. Okay? I looked on one other website. Marine Depot didn't have them both. Dr. Foster's did. Not as good of a resource because of a lower number of reviews. But between those two, the Master Reef API test kit and the Red Sea Foundation Pro, Dr. Foster reviews for API, 14 reviews, 4.1 stars. Red Sea, 21 reviews, 4.1 stars. Okay, so just from that alone, API doesn't suck. All right? For the people out there that are like, yo, API sucks, man. Why even use that? It's garbage, right? API doesn't suck. I'm sorry. They don't. Local fish stores use them. It might not be your preference, right? But API doesn't suck. Okay? Red Sea, here's the one caveat, right? API doesn't have a test for everything that Red Sea does. So Red Sea obviously wins in those categories, right? But I'm just saying, based on a general consensus review, API doesn't suck. I can't tell you they're the best, but I can tell you that they don't suck compared to Red Sea. Because as far as these reviews are concerned, they are equal or Red Sea is less than. And not in terms of money either, in terms of ratings. Okay? So that's where I stand on Red Sea versus API. I've never used Red Sea, but that's because it's twice as much and the reviews are comparable. The reviews are comparable. And I've also read in numerous instances that Red Sea tests take 10 to 15 minutes to come out. 10 to 15 freaking minutes? Are you serious? All right. API is 5 or less. Okay. Now we're going to hit up a couple things here. We're going to hit up a forum and 2 forums. All right. Here we go. Red Sea versus API. Ammonia test accuracy experiment. All right. Let's see. All right. Here we go. After a freak out this week over a supposed rise in my tank's ammonia level, I began to question my Red Sea ammonia test reliability. Since the start of my tank, Red Sea never showed a full 0 ammonia, always a very slight tint of green, but this week there was more green than normal. My nitrites and nitrates are currently at 0. Before taking drastic action with chemicals and water changes, I decided to compare the Red Sea test kit with another kit, API. As a control, I would use a bottle of distilled water, which should most definitely give a 0 ammonia level reading. Then I would test my tank's water with both kits and compare. Below are pictures of my results. All of these pictures are straight out of the camera, no edits whatsoever. Now, the photos are no longer available, but the guy gives a summary, okay? As you can clearly see, the Red Sea brand gave a false positive of ammonia on a brand new gallon jug of distilled water. The API read 0, bright yellow, okay? His tank water. Again, you can see a clear difference in the test results. The Red Sea test shows some ammonia, around 0.1 or 0.2, while the API brand shows no ammonia. Clearly a difference in test results. The API is accurate, and the Red Sea gave me false readings on all ammonia tests. Now, I'm not concluding that the Red Sea brand cannot be trusted, but I will not be using their tests from here out. Let me know what your thoughts on these results are, and if you've had any bad experiences with tests in the past. All right, first person. Never used Red Sea, so I can't say, but I will say that any brand test kit can be bad or be expired. So that is one thing you're going to want to pay attention to. The next person, my Red Sea did exact same thing. Always showed the same color as yours for ammonia, never 0. Now that I have all API test kits, my ammonia is 0. I hate the Red Sea kit as I found them to be very inaccurate. API is much better. Let's see. This guy talks about 3 totally different brands. This guy says could be an expired kit. Personally, I don't use Red Sea anymore. He used Salifert, it looks like. So those are just a few opinions. Now, let's go to the message boards. One of my favorite things to do. Check out the message board here. All right, test kits. The title of this message board topic is test kits, API versus CChem versus Red Sea. I only care about the 2, but we're going to get all 3 in the kit caboodle, son. All right, I currently use API test kits. I use API kits for testing, primarily due to ease of purchase, but I'm about to restock. Was wondering if folks had any experience or preference for CChem or those from Red Sea. Next first person response said, I'm using API Liquid Master. It works really well for me. Next person said, I've only used API brand since it's worked so well for me. My local fish store uses CChem and swears by them. All right, Red Sea kits are really expensive. I doubt for the home Aquarius they are worth the money. This person has only had experience with API Tetra and Hagen and says, I like API hands down over the other 2. Okay, let's see. Salifert nitrate kit for me, the rest API. Let's see. Okay, people are complaining about the nitrate test for API. It is a pain in the butt. I will agree with that. Let's see. Go to the dimmer, frickety frack, stoppers. Wow, none of these people are actually answering the question. I should have maybe read over this first. They're all complaining about the nitrate kit, which is not fun. Okay. This person, I think API always tests high, not that accurate. I use Salifert, which I think is very accurate. Let's see. Just to let you guys know, I'm not going to, this is me just talking, I'm not going to skip any of them that say API sucks. I'm trying to get a good round kind of opinion here. These are all the same people. I'm already on page 5. I don't have any other ones to tell you. Oh, here we go. Looks like the thread has evolved, but I will weigh in on the original post. I have used API, Salfert, and Red Sea test kits. I much prefer the Red Sea kits. Several of them have better resolution on the tests. The kits are high quality, and actually in the long run they are cheaper because they offer refills for something solution. So you only have the larger expense up front. All right, there you go. Let's see. Oh, man. These are all the same people. I'm already on page 7. Shoot. Okay, so that was kind of a bust. So anyway, it looks like there's, people who like API just fine, people who like Salifert, which I've never heard of or used, people who like Red Sea. So ultimately, it's up to you. My personal recommendation is API. I still stand by it, even though people have told me they suck, and Red Sea is awesome, and, you could pour some Red Sea into a bottle of Gatorade, and it would turn into wine or something. I don't know. Ridiculous. So anyway, there you have that. Now it's time for Fish of the Week. So let's do the Fish of the Week. I'm already almost up to 50 freaking minutes. All right. Fish of the Week is the purple dotty back. I chose the purple dotty back because it's purple, and it adds a nice splash of color to your aquarium. All right, let's go over some quick stats. The minimum tank size for this fish is 30 gallons. I think that's a load of crap. I think you can put one in a 15 or 20 gallon tank. The care level is easy. The temperament is semi-aggressive. It is reef compatible. The max size is 3 inches. The color form is purple. Oh my goodness, it better be purple. It's called the purple dotty back. All right, so we got that. Ooh, we got some testimonials. Nice. All right, let's do the overview. The color of the purple dotty back, also known as the magenta dotty back or purple pseudochromis, is best described as magenta. Judas. What is the difference? Like a pinky purple? I don't know. All right, a 30-gallon or larger aquarium should be provided. It may become aggressive towards other dotty backs or fish with similar body types. It is easy to keep in an aquarium with numerous hiding spaces. Diet consists of meaty foods such as brine shrimp or prepared frozen foods. Food should be enriched and varied in order to preserve its beautiful coloration. All right, let's do some testimonials here and let's wrap it up. Charles L. from Drexel Hill, PA. PA, what up, son? Absolutely my favorite fish, period. Quick, agile, and very friendly. Will come right up to the glass and investigate. Will eat a wide variety of foods. Very hardy species. Very territorial as well. Make sure you place this fish in the aquarium last, or it will harass any fish of similar shape or size. That's interesting. All right. Joey H. from Franklin, Ohio. My 2 purple pseudochromis dotty backs are very hardy, active fish that are great with other fish as long as they have enough hiding spots. They are a great tank for cycling. They are great for tank cycling and beginners. Don't cycle your tank with fish, you meanie. Jeez. Burning their gills out. All right. Let's see. Michael T. from City Not Selected, Colorado. This guy's really worried about people listening in on phone calls and whatnot. I love this fish. It was my first one. They are great, especially if you have rock work or decorations for them to swim in and out of. They will They will jeet. They will eat just about anything you feed them. All right, let's do 2 more. Dan N. from East Lansing, Michigan, I think. Very cool looking fish. Will eat almost anything. However, very aggressive. Had to get rid of him because he was terrorizing the other fish to the point where they would not come out of hiding anymore. He was the smallest in the tank, but that did not stop him from being the king of it. Buy with caution. Instantly. Interesting. Gosh dang it. Interesting. All right, one more. Josh C. from Williamsport, PA. All right, very beautiful fish, always in the open, in and out of the rock work, constantly a true terrorizer, though. So this guy, although a small fish, can be a little aggressive, but he's really cool looking. He is the purple dotty back. Okay, so thank you guys so much for listening, checking out the podcast. Be sure to check out my Twitter. I will post a picture of me doing the American Gladiator event in college, which was awesome. And I will also, throw up a shout out to Zoomtan for their incredibly confusing commercial that is not really confusing at all. I was just being a moron and I heard it incorrectly. So that is all for episode 6. Thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast, supporting the YouTube channel, and man, my voice is cutting out. I will see you guys on episode 7 coming in a few weeks. Hope you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. See you guys later.